They called her Doomborn not out of respect but out of fear, not because she was loud or violent, but because she wasn't. And in a galaxy built on strength, silence was the scariest weapon. Inside the galactic Hall of Judgment, hundreds of alien eyes watched. The golden dome above glowed with energy. Delegates from 50 different star systems gathered, whispering nervously as one figure entered through the massive doors. Commander Herax of the Draxari Dominion stepped in, his claws clicking on the polished floor. Over 8 feet tall, his body was covered in black armor with sharp red streaks that pulsed like lava veins. His forearms flexed with tension, and his tail dragged behind him like a weapon of war. His face was not just angry, it was insulted. Across the hall in a simple chair sat a young human girl. Small, slim, quiet. She didn't rise, she didn't bow, she didn't even blink. Herax snarled, "You dare sit before a Draxari war chief?" She looked up slowly and calmly met his eyes. Yes. The room went still. Tense. Air seemed to freeze. Some of the alien diplomats backed away from the center, already expecting violence. The Kronari, who knew the Draxari well, whispered among themselves, "She's just a human girl. She must be crazy. Or maybe she's Doomborn." Her name was Kara Lynn. She wore no armor, no medals, just a simple black uniform with a silver triangle. On her chest, Earth's mark. But Kara wasn't born on Earth. She was born on Titan's Edge, the farthest and harshest human colony. The gravity there crushed bones. The storms melted metal. On Titan's Edge, only the toughest lived. Or the most clever. "You insult the Dominion with your weakness," Herax growled. "Stand before I rip that chair from under you." Kara didn't move. She simply took a sip of her drink. It wasn't tea. It was thick water, heavily mineralized. Titan water, sharp enough to cut the tongue of anything not born to it. "I'm on my break," Kara said flatly. 13 minutes. Left. Herax's claws scraped the floor. "You dare mock me?" he roared, stepping closer. "I have shattered warriors 10 times your size. And yet you're still shouting," Kara said. "If you were truly strong, you wouldn't need to." Gasps rippled across the chamber. No one spoke to Herax like that. No one ever sat while he stood. But Kara didn't flinch. "You have one chance, girl," Herax warned, "to stand and apologize, or I make you." Kara checked her wrist timer. 12 minutes now. Your move." Something in Herax's mind snapped. He lunged. The entire room reacted. Guards reached for weapons. Delegates ducked. Even the walls began to glow with defense warnings. But Kara didn't move like the others. She didn't even rise from her chair. She moved only when she had to. At the very last second, her left hand shot out. She caught one of Herax's massive wrists in midair. Her body twisted slightly, legs locking under the seat for leverage. And then, a sound like thunder. Kara pulled and turned in one motion, using Herax's massive weight against him. Her small frame shifted like a hinge, her balance perfect, her timing deadly. The warlord flew. All 8 feet of muscle and rage lifted off the ground. He spun once in the air, then crashed back first into the solid wall behind her with a shattering impact. Crack. The sound of armor breaking. The sound of something worse than pride being crushed. Herax dropped to the ground in a twisted heap, gasping. He couldn't move his legs. Silence. Total silence. Kara calmly took another sip of her drink. She glanced at the frozen guards and confused delegates. "I believe that counts as self-defense," she said simply. "You all saw him attack first." Medics rushed to Herax's side. A scan hovered over his body. "Spine damage. Critical. Delegates," whispered again, this time with awe. She didn't even stand. She launched him like a toy. From a chair. The next ambassador turned to his aide. "What is she?" the aide replied with a dry mouth. "She's human." "No," the ambassador whispered. "She's Doomborn." Kara stood now. She looked calm, quiet, but the air around her felt heavier than gravity. She adjusted her sleeve, and her voice stayed steady. "You wanted to see power," she said. "Now you have." And she walked out, leaving behind silence, fear, and one broken warlord. News of what happened in the Galactic Hall spread faster than light. Every channel, every diplomat, and every station across the galaxy talked about the small human girl who broke the spine of a Drexari warlord without even standing. Some called it madness, some called it luck, but those who knew about Titan's Edge and they understood. Kara Lynn was summoned again the next day, not to explain herself, but to face a full council meeting. The damage caused by the incident had forced the Dominion to pause several military operations. Herax, now paralyzed from the waist down, had been rushed to a medical ship in stasis. The Drexari demanded answers. Earth said Kara acted in defense, but the galaxy didn't want just answers. They wanted to know who she really was. Inside the private waiting chamber, Kara sat alone. No armor, no guards, just her small black uniform, and her titanium badge marked with Earth's crest. An old ambassador entered quietly. He was from the Venari, a peaceful species of long-living tree-like beings. His roots gently tapped the ground as he walked. "You must be tired of all the attention," he said kindly. Kara looked up, her face calm. "It's not the worst part." The ambassador smiled softly. "Then what is?" "The waiting," she answered. "I'd rather be doing something than sitting still." "You prefer motion. I grew up on Titan's Edge. Sitting still meant death." The ambassador's glowing eyes blinked slowly. "Tell me, what is Titan's Edge really like?" Kara paused for a moment, then looked down at her hands. "It's a place where your bones ache from gravity the day you're born," she began. "Where storms rip metal from the ground. Where nights are so cold your breath turns to crystals. You don't learn to fight there. You learn to survive. And you learn fast." Her voice remained soft, but the weight of every word filled the room. "My brother died at 8, crushed under a fallen tower during a quake. My mother died not long after trying to get food during a power outage. I was 10. The ambassador lowered his head. "I learned to live alone in a shelter no bigger than a closet. I learned to trap rats, seal water, and fix the oxygen system with my bare hands. I trained my body to move low, stay balanced, never waste energy. We couldn't afford strength, we needed efficiency." "And that is why you didn't flinch yesterday?" the ambassador asked gently. Kara nodded. "Because panic is slow. Emotion is slow. I don't have time for that. Not on Titan's Edge." There was silence for a while, then a voice came through the comm line. "The council is ready." The old ambassador gave a small bow. "They will expect weakness in your voice." Kara stood up. "Then they will leave disappointed." The chamber was full. Hundreds of alien leaders watched her as she entered. Some wore helmets of gold, others had heads like glass. The air was heavy with judgment. The head of the council, a tall, multi-eyed being from the Neural Coalition, spoke first. "Representative Kara Lynn," it said with a booming voice. "You crippled a Drexari commander. Do you understand the consequences?" "Yes," Kara replied clearly. "You do not deny your actions?" "No," he charged. "I defended." A screen lit up, showing the footage. Kara sitting calmly, Herax lunging, then the spin, the crash, the silence. "You are not trained in battle," the council leader continued. "You have no warrior medals, no elite clearance. You are a junior diplomat." "I was trained by Titan," Kara said, "not by medals or titles." A ripple moved through the crowd. The Drexari delegate stood next, not as large as Herax but still towering. His voice was sharp. "She must be punished. She is dangerous." "And your warlord?" Kara asked calmly. "What punishment for attacking during a peace session?" The room went still. Another delegate from the Aura species leaned forward. "You fought him with no weapons, no armor. You used his strength against him." "How?" "Leverage," Kara said simply. "Your kind may think strength is power, but we humans come from a place where we had to learn something else. We faced beasts bigger than tanks. Gravity that breaks bones. We had to become smart, fast, precise. That's how we survived. The silence turned to murmurs. Some delegates nodded, others looked nervous. "She speaks truth," said the next ambassador. "We saw no rage in her, only control." The Draxari stood again, glaring. "She made us look weak." "No," Kara corrected. "Your arrogance made you look weak." With that, the chamber buzzed louder. The council leader raised a hand. "Enough. The humans' response has been recorded. A decision will be made tomorrow." Kara bowed slightly, turned, and walked out again. This time, the room didn't laugh or whisper. They watched, and for the first time they didn't see just a girl. They saw a Death Worlder. They saw a warning. News of the chamber incident spread fast. Within hours, every system on the council circuit had received the footage. The moment a small human girl, seated calmly, hurled the most feared Draxari warlord across the room and shattered his spine like thin wood. Some believed it was fake. Others watched it again and again in stunned silence. But back on Titan's edge, the colony Kara came from, no one was surprised. Because on Titan, stillness is survival. When lightning tears through the sky like a dragon's scream, when acid winds can strip flesh from bone, when silence before a quake could mean the difference between life and death, and you learn not to panic. You learn to wait. You learn to move only when it matters. Kara had learned that lesson too early. She had lost her mother to a gravity collapse when she was 8. Her father disappeared during a thunder migration. No body was found. No rescue ever came. She had survived by listening to the world, by trusting time, by staying still. Now, across the Galactic Council, that stillness had become a threat. Because Herax wasn't just a warrior, he was the Dominion's symbol of power, and Kara had broken him. Now, the Draxari wanted revenge. In the Council's private defense wing, Kara sat alone in a cold gray room. Her wrists were free. She was not under arrest, but the security fields around her were meant for high-level prisoners. A tall woman with silver hair stepped into the room. Her name was Ambassador Rian Osei, Earth's lead diplomat. Sharp eyes, quiet tone. She sat across from Kara and took a breath. "They want you gone." "I assumed," Kara replied. "You embarrassed the Dominion in front of 50 species," Ryan said. "That's not something they'll forget. Or forgive. I didn't start the fight." "No, but you ended it." There was silence. Rian leaned forward. "You know what the Draxari are demanding?" Kara didn't answer. Full removal of human presence from Kepler space. All mining rights transferred to them. A formal apology to their war clans, and you handed over for judgment. Kara looked up slowly. "Meaning execution?" Ryan didn't speak, but the silence was enough. Kara nodded once, accepting it, not surprised. "I'll leave quietly," Kara said. "Go off record. Disappear." "You'd let them win?" "I'm not afraid of dying," Kara said softly. "I'm afraid of starting a war." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "You're just a girl. One soldier. They shouldn't fear you." "They don't fear me," Kara replied. "They fear what I proved. That a human, small, quiet, still, could defeat one of the strongest warriors in the galaxy without standing up. They're afraid others will try," Kara added. "Other species, other girls." Ryan sat back. She understood now. Kara hadn't just broken Herax. She'd broken the myth that only size and violence ruled this galaxy. That thought was more dangerous than any weapon. Back in the Dominion sector, Herax was healing slowly inside a life chamber. But his people weren't healing at all. His injury had brought shame to the warrior caste. They demanded a strike. Fleet mobilization. Punishment. The Draxari didn't care that Kara acted in self-defense. They only cared that she won, and that she didn't flinch. Later that night, Kara stood at the viewing window of her holding chamber. She stared out at the stars, quiet, Alone. Her communicator beeped. Incoming message. Private line. From Titan's Edge. She opened it. On screen, her old survival instructor appeared. Gray-bearded. Eyes like frost. I saw what you did, he said. Not bad for a girl who once cried when she broke her own arm. Kara smiled slightly. I didn't cry. I passed out. Same thing, he grunted. There was a pause. You made them afraid, he said. Wasn't trying to. Still did. That's not something you can take back. Kara said nothing. Then the man's tone changed, softer. You did good, Kara, but be ready. The galaxy doesn't like quiet girls who are stronger than they look. I know. Then, remember what Titan taught you. She nodded. Don't move until it matters. And when it matters, don't miss. As she ended the call, Kara sat back in her chair. Still, waiting, unshaken. Outside, the stars burned bright, but inside the chamber, a different kind of fire lived in her eyes. The Drexari fleets moved fast. By the time the Galactic Council finished their second meeting, 20 Dominion warships were already heading toward the neutral zones near the Kepler sector. All other species knew what that meant. Not diplomacy. Not peace. Vengeance. Inside the Earth delegation's war room, Ambassador Ryanosi stared at the holographic star map. Red dots moved closer. The room buzzed with voices, military, legal, political. But one voice cut through the noise. No one asked if I'm afraid. It was Kara. She stood at the center of the room, calm as always, arms behind her back, eyes clear. An Earth general stepped forward. We don't expect you to fight again, Kara. That incident is over. No, she said. It isn't. Not for them. She looked at the red dots. They're not coming for war, she said softly. They're coming for one girl. Then, maybe we should give them what they want, a senior diplomat muttered not unkindly. To save the peace. Kara turned. Peace built on surrender is not peace. No one argued. No one dared. She walked toward the viewing window, watching the stars again. I'll go to them, she said. Alone. Everyone froze. That's suicide, Ryan said. Kara didn't flinch. Maybe, or maybe, it's what they need. 3 days later, the meeting was set, a neutral moon. Deserted. Cold. No weapons allowed. A landing pad waited under a dark sky, lit only by red moons. The Drexari Supreme Warlord, Torkal, stood there in dark armor heavier than stone, flanked by 4 elite guards. His face was hidden, behind a skull-shaped helm. He had not spoken since Harax's fall. His silence was like thunder before a storm. A small shuttle touched down. Out stepped Kara. No armor. No weapons. No fear. She walked forward slowly and stopped a few feet away. I am Caroline of Titan's Edge, she said clearly. I came alone. Torkal stared. You destroyed one of our greatest, he said at last, voice like rusted metal. He attacked me, Kara said. I ended it, he growled. You made us look weak. No, she said. You made yourselves look small. I only sat still. His eyes glowed behind the helmet. You are not a warrior. You are a girl. I'm both, she said. Torkal stepped forward. Give me one reason not to end you now. Kara looked up. Because if you kill me, the galaxy will finally believe what I showed them, that you are afraid. The warlord's eyes narrowed. You think your silence is strength, he asked. No, Kara said. I know it is. She stepped even closer. No armor. No shield. I didn't break Harax with force. I used his own strength against him. You rule through fear. I defended myself through calm. And that's why I won. Torkal looked at her. No fear. No lies. No shaking hands. Just truth. Unshaken. Unmoving. Still. He saw something dangerous in that stillness. And that danger had no shape. No weapon. No weakness. It couldn't be hit. It couldn't be killed. Because it was an idea, a message to the galaxy. Strength isn't always loud. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it drinks tea, waits for the right moment, and changes everything. The warlord turned away. She is not to be touched, he said to his guards. Not today. Not ever. The Drexari stepped back into their ship, and the war ended before it began. Back on the Meridian station, silence greeted Kara once more. But it was a new kind of silence. Not fear. Not confusion. Respect. Aliens bowed as she passed, not out of rule, out of choice. A next scientist stopped her. Can you teach us what you did? Kara smiled a little. It's not a move, she said. It's a mindset. The ambassador of the Gloth touched his forehead. Your strength is not in the hands, but in the heart. And slowly, system by system, the stories changed. No longer was she called just Doomborn. She was called something stronger. Stillheart. Back on Titan's edge, kids trained differently. They didn't rush. They listened. They waited for storms to pass. They moved like Kara, because they'd seen what true power looked like. And it wasn't what they were taught before. It wasn't about being the biggest. It wasn't about being first. It was about knowing when to rise. In a galaxy that had always feared the loudest voice, one girl sat in silence and changed everything. She didn't flinch. But when it was time to move, she moved the stars. Could you stay calm when everything around you is shaking?